Sorry, recording. Go ahead and call the meeting to order. Apologies for those participating online. We had a little snafu with the room, so we had to relocate at the last minute. Welcome to the 2024 January Tech Commission meeting. As you might have noticed, I'm kicking off the meeting because Frank has tricked me into becoming chair this year.
Changing of the guard.
And he has taken agreed to stay on as vice chair.
I've done the switcheroo again.
Switcheroo.
Emeritus. Yes.
And Takis, we have a board member with us this evening. So
I came only for you, Mr. Burke.
Well, thank you, Takis.
I just wanted not to miss this meeting.
Happy to have you whenever you can drop by. I'll go ahead and turn it over to you for whatever topic you have for us this evening.
Oh, yes. Thank you. I will take a few minutes of your time tonight, actually. That was not exactly calculated or foreseen. I'm very happy to come back and have more of a in-depth conversation on the topic that I'm bringing to you today, which is AIM, Arlington Independent Media. This was typical. I hope that everybody's familiar with AIM. This is our nonprofit open channel providing nonprofit for many years. It's also the operator of WRA 96.7 FM for those who still have old type radios and tune in. And it has been a roller coaster over the last couple of years, especially last year, with AIM because of their financial situation. So AIM has been, despite the fact that we have appropriated more than $506,000 for ongoing budget support and almost $1 million in the last 18 months, almost $1 million in PEG funds. AIM is going through a crisis. AIM had to leave their location in Clarendon Boulevard. They're still in the move. They opened a new location down in 3700 Follow Run, which is a county-owned building, and they have new leadership in this time and a almost newly fully rotated board. And the county board has been accompanying this evolution of AIM. We're still very invested in the purposes of AIM, especially their reorientation of trying to reach out to underserved communities to be able to work and provide access to media to those who have not typically have that kind of access. AIM has a fantastic program for youth journalism that appeals specifically to students and to Black and Brown communities. But nevertheless, the financial pressure on AIM has been significant. The organization, just in the last 12 months, has been, practically insolvent almost 3 times. Before the holidays, they even had to furlough their staff for a short period of time, thankfully, until we could restore funding. And one of the requests that AIM has to the county board is that we appoint people on their board. Mind you that we, the county board and Arlington County and AIM, don't have really a agreement that regulates that. This is part of AIM's own bylaws, and they requested to appoint people who would be obviously helpful to their board, who are subject matter to at least competent in the subject matters. And the county board yesterday appointed 2 staff members. One is Mr. Archibald, who you know because he has been has been staffing this commission, and he's with the Department of Technology Services, which is the budget-wise the home department of AIM. This is this department's budget is supporting AIM. And the other is Bryna Helfer, Dr. Bryna Helfer, who you probably know because she is a deputy county manager, and she's the communications specialist, and she's in charge of communications and community outreach, etc. She's also, her department oversees also AVN, Arlington Video Network, which produces the audiovisual content that the county typically is producing. So I just wanted to let you know that this is happening. Also in December, the county board approved a MOU with AIM that manages the or governs the way that PEG funds can be applied for, how they are dispersed, how we control that, how we make sure that what we have funded is what was applied for, etc. Because these are significant expenditures, as I told you, in the last 18 months altogether, almost $1 million. And therefore, we needed to have a framework of an agreement. So I just wanted to bring that up for your commission. The county board is always open for discussion and input from you, both the commission collective input as individual input. If you have ideas, proposals, suggestions of that are relevant to Open Channel, to AIM, please let us know. The background picture here and the big picture is a significant amount of funding that goes to AIM comes from the franchise agreement. These are these funds are dwindling. We are looking probably at 1 or 2 more fiscal years of having a fund to talk about. I would be very happy to come back and let you know how this looks financially, and what the challenges ahead are, maybe in the framework of discussing budget and or CAP, and give you this additional information or share it electronically. But this the means that are available to support an organization like AIM begin to be less available. And this is concerning if you look at this in conjunction with the crisis that the organization has been going through. The intention of the county board is to through our appointees to actually provide help and improve the relationship between the county and AIM, making more fluid, making more workable. It is understandable that under the pressure that AIM has been, this relationship has suffered. So we are working to improve that. So that's from me, just a heads up and an informational item for you. Open for any kind of questions and further discussion at your discretion whenever you want.
Thank you very much for bringing that to our attention, Tagas. We had Ms. Knuddle to the commission, brief the commission about a year ago.
Yeah, not even a little. I think it was around April. I think. So I think it's within the past year.
It was a while ago. As she had recently taken over as the executive director for AIM, so we've been watching them with great interest and had noted the press reports about the financial trouble, and we definitely had it on our list of things to circle around to this year. I think wrapping it into the budget conversation makes a lot of sense in terms of what the right level of fiscal support for AIM is. I think my overarching question has always been, is there an existing county policy or board policy on AIM's primary function for the public good of providing an independent media source and producer? Is that something that the board has taken a stance on in the past?
Past boards have. There is a commitment to the mission. This has been reiterated several times, but there is not an updated commitment to AIM's mission. I can tell you that myself and my 4 colleagues, including our 2 new members, we are still supportive of the mission as defined by AIM. But we all recognize that we need to frame it in a more sustainable way. So we are in the process of doing that. So we will come back to you. It was very surprising to me because I took over as a liaison of the board to AIM about a year and a half ago. And the first thing that I found out is that there was no agreement, framework with all the nonprofits that we support, the work of where we support the work of them, etc. We have agreements. We have grant agreements. We have MOUs, memoranda of understanding, etc. So with AIM, we didn't really. So I scrambled to figure out a way to have to get a memorandum of understanding on PEG funds. That includes the expectation that AIM will, apply timely for these things, give us a forecast of how much money they need, etc. So because we need to manage and administer this fund. So I anticipate that this year we will have a pronunciation of the county board with regards to AIM's, to how we plan to support AIM from here on forward. And the most likely moment that this happens is during the budget session this year, because this is where we appropriate operating funds for AIM, which is, there is a $380,000 a year ongoing appropriation. This is a budget item that has been, stable over many years. And last year we approved another 125 on top of that, because we believe that some of the programs that AIM has brought to us were really worth the extra support. So this year we'll have this conversation again with a positive approach and a positive mindset. But this is also a moment where we will have to say what we expect from AIM and, have a conversation with you and the public about how we should be going about that.
Takis, there are some agreements between, well, obviously this has been a long ongoing situation. We've in the past have had members of the AIM board on our commission, and the agreement did finally chase it down. There is a MOU with AIM as far as making use of WERA in emergency situations for the county.
Yes.
To use that, and also I think the county is the landlord for their transmitting antenna, I believe.
Yes.
Building. So there are, and we had hoped to do a site visit to the new South Arlington studio location.
That would be very interesting because I had the site visit myself, Frank, and it's a pretty interesting little thing. I am more than happy to ask AIM to host us there.
All right, Mr. Chair, what do you think?
I think that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I think we should do it. And we had done site visits in the past at the Wilson Boulevard location as well.
So my commitment is to come back to you and discuss that. It's true that we have this agreement on the transmitter because I think it was foundational and fundamental for the licensing of WERA, more or less. I'm not the lawyer here, but I believe it was. So, but it's not really an organizational MOU that manages and governs the whole relationship with it.
Right, and the real problem, the PEG fees can only be used for capital expenditures.
Correct. For that, we have an MOU now.
Right.
We do. And I'm very happy to share it with you. I will make a note to send you that so that you can see. We approved that in December. We have been working with that. NAME has been working with us on this since the beginning of the last year.
Right, and I expect that there will be capital expenditures in connection with the move here.
Well, this accounts for the bulk of this $1 million.
Right.
Actually, the equipment is not so insanely expensive if you compare it to other costs.
Right. They're very well outfitted, I have to say, for a station that, for on the radio side, very nice. It's a very nice facility, or was a nice facility.
It was a very interesting and nice facility. I think that when you visit 3700, you will see what is there and how it is today. They have been in 3700 for quite a while now. It's been several months. I don't know if it's an entire year, but it comes close to that. So that was for me. I thank you so much for accommodating my request tonight. If you have any questions or any issues that come up with related to AIM and related to our appointees there, if we feel free to let me know, we will be happy to come back to the commission and have a chat on these.
Great, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, on to our regularly programmed agenda. Do we have any public comment? No public comment.
Should we introduce ourselves?
I'll get there. If you want to, you're as a member of the public, this is your time to say something if you want to.
My Mohammed. I don't really know what to say on top of that. Yeah, sorry. I'm Jared. I just started as a senior consultant with a firm called Partner Forces, and I'm here in a personal capacity. Just want to make that clear since this is recorded. But I'm a contractor with the Cybersecurity Infrastructure Security Agency, and I'm involved in a project on assessing cybersecurity and privacy risks to smart city initiatives. So IoT, cloud infrastructure, we're even looking at AI and I think a little bit of quantum computing too. So I just started, but I figured this would be a good opportunity just to serve my community and also to see how everything works at the very grassroots level. I see a lot of stuff I see one item on your agenda here, unmanned aircraft systems. I had a meeting with the Virginia Innovation Partnership Corporation last week, and they're doing work on counter UAS. So I figure I'd just come, see what it's like, and see if this would be a good fit for me.
Great. So both Jared and Mohammed have submitted applications, and we haven't gotten around to working through that application process yet. So hopefully we will. We do have a new member who we got in the application last year and was appointed at the last board meeting. Biran, you want to introduce yourself?
Yes, this is Byron Zhang, and I'm glad that I was able to get approved for the commission. I'm from this area, from Centerville, Virginia. Went to high school there. Went to William Mary, graduated there in 2002 with computer science and math minor. And since then, I've been working as a government contractor, worked for different agencies, mostly software programming. Worked for Hewlett Packard for about 8 years as a developer there. 5 years ago, I started my own company, supporting government agencies doing the same thing pretty much. I've been living in Arlington since 2004. Since 2004, both my daughters attend Arlington School, so I want to give back to help out Arlington County, where wherever I can, when I can. So I'm really looking forward to it, to help as much as I can.
Great. We'll do a round robin, just names and quick intros for everyone who's on the commission, for all the new faces. John Burke, chair starting this year, born and raised in Arlington County, and member of the Tech Commission since 2019.
Frank Jazzo, vice chair, and I think this marks my 24th anniversary on the commission. But when I started, it was the cable commission, so we've evolved along with the technologies over the year. And I'm a retired telecommunications attorney that was practiced in Roslyn for about, well, at the same firm for 35 years.
Andrew?
Hello, I'm Andrew Wingo. I am a retired United States Army, retired in 2017, been living in the area since then. I am serving as a system security engineer for the agency, Red Rock Government Services. It supports the agency, and I'm also a doctoral student at Marymount University, cybersecurity.
Hey, I'm Prescott Burton, not from the area, but I've been in Arlington for almost 10 years now. Cybersecurity engineer at Lloyd, and I joined the commission last summer, so 6 months in.
My name's Laura. I've been in Arlington for about 5 years now. Been with the commission since August 2022. I am a security consulting manager at Accenture.
Michael Cornfield, I've lived in Arlington for 30 years. Recently retired professor at George Washington University.
And virtually, Jackie, you want to go first?
Sure. Had to re-up there. Yes, Jackie Snelling, lived in Arlington 40 plus years, I think, at this point. I'm retired FEMA, and I did work there on emergency communications in a range of issues, also on cybersecurity, also on with the National Institute of Standards. And I'm very active in Arlington civic activities. I'm currently on the board of the Civic Federation.
All right, and just going down the list, Jim.
Jim Smith. I am another semi-retired telecommunications lawyer, Arlington resident for over 45 years, which is really puzzling since I'm very young. But I've been on the commission for a little less than a year now. Welcome.
Right. Jonathan.
Yeah, Jonathan Abelstein, been in Arlington for a mere 23 years, since about 2000, and I am a former federal official in the FCC, on the commission, also at the Rural Utility Service, and subsequently headed a trade association based out of Arlington called the Wireless Infrastructure Association, and now I'm with an investment manager that invests in digital infrastructure called Digital Bridge. I'm really excited to have you on board. It sounds like you bring some fantastic skills that we are welcome.
And last but not least, Miranda.
Hello, I have lived in Arlington for 30 years. Both my children have also gone through the Arlington school system. I am a product manager, so I work in software development. And I think Jim and I joined just about the same time, maybe a month ahead of him. So I've been with the commission for almost a year.
All right, thanks for the introductions, everybody. Without being aware that was going to happen, it's always tough putting people on the spot. I think the next person we're ready to put on the spot is Chief Penn, who's here for our unmanned aircraft systems item. Chief, take it away.
Thanks, and thanks for having us. My name's Andy Penn. I'm the police chief. I've been with the county for 32 years. I'm with, go ahead.
Deputy Chief Latasha Chamberlain. I've been with the police department for 22 years.
Dave.
And Dave Povitz, Arlington County Fire Department Fire Chief, and been with the county more than 5 years.
Will.
And I'm Will Flagler. I'm the director of the Department of Public Safety Communications and Emergency Management. And I've been the county 9 years this year.
So I we came up with what we thought the game plan was, but I think before we start, we'd ask, what we were thinking of doing is really quickly going over what the state law is surrounding UAS programs, the feedback that we got from the community regarding the programs, and then, a general overview of the policy, and then we can talk by agency about specific types of use cases. Does that sound like what would be beneficial for the group?
That sounds lovely.
Okay. So I'll start, and Virginia Code Section 19260.1 goes through and is very explicit about the use of UAS programs throughout the Commonwealth. And it starts by a statement that no department of law enforcement of any city, county, or town shall utilize a UAS except during the execution of a search warrant issued pursuant to this chapter or an administrative inspection warrant, except for in these enumerated things I'm going to mention now. And I'm paraphrasing this too. If there's an amber alert, a senior alert, a blue alert, if it's determined to be necessary to alleviate an immediate danger to any person by any law enforcement officer following an accident where a report is required to do reconstruction, if there's consent and are aerially survey a primary residence of the subject of an arrest warrant to formulate a plan to execute an existing arrest warrant or to locate a person sought for arrest when such person has fled from law enforcement and we're in hot pursuit of the person. So it's pretty restrictive just from the code section, but there are definite use cases, and we'll get to that in a minute. We did put this out, and we had draft policies that we shared with the community because we wanted to get feedback. We wanted to hear people's thoughts about the program. So this was out from November 16th through January 1st. We got a total of 66 different responses, and it was about half in support and half expressing concerns with a UAS program. Some of the things for support were it's less expensive. It meets the need to bolster investigations or to assist in other public safety challenges. It's less expensive, less noisy than helicopters. And somebody even noted that we're lagging behind in the utilization of drones compared to the region. The types of concerns that were raised, safety, there was concern about is the airspace too congested? Privacy, will this become a spying or police state? How long the data would be retained? Administratively, like if there's a complaint about it, who will investigate it? And if there's an accident, how is that dealt with? And then concerns about noise and uses of these, because the person who wrote this said there was not that many public safety incidents in Arlington, which would benefit from a program like this. So in reviewing all the data, we certainly will comply with the state law, but I think there are many very legitimate use cases. And Chief Chamberlain is going to go through our policy really quick just to highlight the types of uses. And then I think it's important and to share with the group that even before a program starts, the policy is just the beginning. There are FAA permits and licenses that have to happen. Every pilot has to have about a week's worth of training, which includes ground school, a flight school, policy training. There's a test that has to be passed, a test through the FAA. It's called Part 107. And then a subsequent proficiency test. So there's a lot to get the program even up and running. And equally part of our thought process is just the initial training is not enough. So our policy is going to require quarterly training. 3 flights have to be conducted within each quarter to make sure people stay proficient with the technology and make sure that it can be used quickly and in support of public safety events. And I think we should go through the policy now, and I'll hit a couple other things in a minute.
Some of the things that it will be used for will be for search and rescue missions, hazardous material response, pre and post disaster damage assessments, crash scenes, meaning any vehicle crashing that may need any level of reconstruction of sorts, situational awareness regarding special events such as highly participated events where it could be a potential opportunity for us to recognize any threats to the area, as well as fire and emergency incident management. Things that it will not be used for is conduct random surveillance of activities, target a person solely on their individual characteristics, harass, intimidate, or discriminate against any individual, support facial or license plate reader recognition technology, as well as monitor traffic for the purpose of issuing citations and intercept and collect internal data, internet data, and conduct personal business by any of its users. If I can hit one more thing, in regards to all the things that we're saying we will do and that we won't do, the most important part for this is also the transparency that we provide that information to the community so they can see the date in which a mission took place, the purpose for the mission, and the location where that was done. One of the biggest things also is it gives you also an opportunity for you to see all the different trainings. Trainings will be identified in that listing as well. So you will be able to see how often we do conduct training.
So just a couple other thoughts, and then I'll ask Chief Pavlis to go over, the fire department. Just for the technology piece, the interesting part of this is the software that we have it tracks and records exactly where the UAS is at any given second when it's not on the ground. And it even tells you what direction the camera's pointing. So we intentionally set this up to where the data storage and retention is the exact same platform and program as our body-worn cameras and in-car cameras. So it's already gone through all the security protocols to make sure it's the security is intact, and it falls in line with the programs that we already have up and running, because anytime the drone is off the ground, both of those recordings will be active. And like I said, it does show exactly where it is and even what direction it's looking. So, and final piece, if we fly outside, to speak to the concerns of we're right by the airport. I mean, before we even fly a UAS, there's an interface with the FAA who completely deconflicts it to make sure that it's not going to interfere with anything else that's happening in the region. So it does take a little bit of time to get it up and operational because these checks have to happen before the drone goes up in airspace. It's different if it's inside a home, but in an outside air, there's a whole process to make sure it's safe to do it. Dave?
Thank you, Chief Ben. And the use cases that Chief Chamberlain stated are very similar to fire rescue and EMS. The system is the same. It's the same craft, same training. It's a public safety encompassing program, software, data storage, retention. The policies apply to fire department, police department, communications, and emergency management equally. Use cases are focused more on search and rescue. And also situational awareness on large fire, large incidents, often on the George Washington Parkway, north and south. If there's someone who either left the roadway or someone who has either become trapped, lost, or needs assistance in some of the woods that steep grade, and also on the land-water interface on the river, we can save absolutely minutes just trying to we can put the craft out and just look for them instead of deploying, I'm going to say tens, if not 40, 50 personnel trying to assist. It just gets us that to our resources there much faster and much quicker. On larger fires, it gives us that aerial platform to see where the fire is going, what we need to do tactically to contain and also extinguish, and it can be used in post-fire investigation, trying to determine the area and location or area of cause of origin. What it won't be used for is looking for fires, going out and trying to detect any kind of incident. These crafts or the system must be deployed upon request. There must be an incident. We're dispatched to it, and there's a need for it, and then we'll go through the permissioning process with the proper authorities to make sure we can get the airspace to safely fly in.
Will?
I don't have much to add. Same thing that the two chiefs said as far as all the policies, regulations, operational controls. My department would benefit from all the information because we run the 911 system. We dispatch all the resources that needed to support all of this stuff. We send out the messages through the Arlington Alert. So knowing any information about a major fire, road closures, or anything helps us help the public to do what they need to do to stay safe and secure. And then disaster assessments are self-explanatory, I think. Before a hurricane or a tornado or anything else like that, there's site assessments that you need to do so that we can get a better picture of damage and know exactly where we need to send resources. So pretty much the same use cases that the two chiefs mentioned.
So I think that's the overview. We're happy to answer any questions. I mean, I see this as an opportunity to significantly enhance public safety, for several of our use cases. It will afford us the opportunity to send a UAS into a building versus a human being into a building. If it's like a tactical hostile incident, so I think there's a lot of uses, and I think we're very intentional about making sure that we had thought of and covered all the safeguards. A lot of research was done about model policies, other policies, what else we need to make sure that we were covering our bases. And that was part of the reason we wanted to get the community feedback. And we did make changes to the policies following the community feedback. All of our policies are slightly different, but they're basically the same structure because this is across public safety program. It's not one entity. It's all of us working together. But I think that's it. We're happy to answer any of your questions.
I just have one question off the top, just for clarity. You referring to aerial systems. Does this just apply to aerial systems and not other remotely operated systems at this time?
I'm not sure. I mean, it's
like if you have land or water-based systems, this doesn't cover those.
No, this is just UAS. So
thank you.
Yeah.
I'll go around the horn. Anyone have any questions in the room?
I have a couple questions. One, is there a way to distinguish UO's UASs from just like a general citizens UAS?
So the interesting thing in Arlington is most of Arlington is a no-fly zone because of the airport.
That was the other question.
We register. We have to part of the initial get up and going part is we have to register all of our equipment with the FAA. So everything's tracked by serial number. So if our drone is up, it'll be known that it's ours. But, for the most part, if it's not a public safety drone, then if it's a, community member's drone, there's really no place in Arlington you can do that.
Can I add to that? There's also sub-region and regional effort from the Northern Virginia Emergency Response System, NOVA, and also the Council of Governments, Metropolitan Washington Council of Governments. As many jurisdictions are moving into these systems and these spaces, they're looking with an eye to coordinate some of that activities. There would be some differentiation between jurisdictions bordering who may be flying similar missions as we're both commonly called to respond to incidents in, say, Fairfax or Alexandria and vice versa. All those programs are looking into counter UAS programs. So there's a lot of coordination within the region as several jurisdictions are starting to spin up their programs here recently.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, my second question was about the no-fly zone. So.
Anyone else in the room? Jackie, you got your hand up? Go ahead.
Yes, I can see circumstances where it might be useful to use some of the film for informing the public of locations to avoid or flooding or things like that. At the same time, I can also see some problems that might present with regards to disclosing identifiable information like house numbers or or license plates or specific vehicles or things like that. Is there specific policy about circumstances under which the film can be shared with the public for a legitimate purpose? And if so, what steps may or may not be taken for identifiable information?
So I think this is for all of us, but I'll go first and Dave and Will chime in. It's stored in our evidence.com system, the same place body cameras. So it's really treated the same for us as body cameras and in-car cameras. I mean, there's no, there could be certain circumstances, but we give FOIAs a fair amount for that information, and there's many exemptions for law enforcement type efforts. So often our information is not released, but if we are going to release something, we are keenly aware of releasing stuff with people's personal information. So if the law allows us to redact, we certainly would, because it's important to us to protect people's privacy any way that we can. But for the most part, anything that involves a criminal investigation is exempt from mandatory disclosure. And in the interest of protecting people's privacy, we normally do not release it.
I was thinking of things like inundation maps, showing where various disasters are, where there's not an intention to collect anything that's specific, but certainly if you're doing an aerial view of where the flooding is, you might also inadvertently have identifiable information. Other than I recognize that as my house, that's a different thing.
Right. I mean, I think where there's personal identifying information, I mean, most of the time, even when we do release video, we redact information. We can blur faces, we can blur addresses if it's permissible. So anytime, if there is a scenario where it's going to be released, at least for us, it would be reviewed, and anything that's, personally identifiable and within the law we're allowed to redact it, we certainly would.
Thank you.
And to add on to that, the overall aerial image would be a source of data. I think presentation to communicate either an urgent public safety need or to communicate something else in terms of recovery or resiliency can be projected or portrayed in a GIS layer. I mean, we can translate that using a lot of other things, which we do very, very quickly. And that'll probably be better to release to the media, to the public, and would avoid some of the privacy concerns.
That's great. That's a good thought. Thank you.
Any other questions for the folks online? Frank, you got anything?
I don't.
I think, Chief, you had mentioned that the data around the usage of the systems would be released for transparency's sake. Do you have a plan for how that's going to be released? And could you share that with us, or is that still in work in progress?
Yeah, absolutely. So still in a work in progress because we haven't started, but the goal here is to monthly upload the information for, if it's February, you would get January's information for all the flights that were taken, and keep moving that in that direction. But yeah, it'll be uploaded into our website under our publications.
Okay, I think it's really important that that data, when it's released, be done in a machine readable format, if at all possible, in addition to whatever other human consumable formats. So not just like a table on a website, but also be able to download it in like a JSON or a CSV file. So just some feedback there.
Thank you.
Are there any agreements with the local media as far as coordinating news gathering? Obviously, there have been some events. The big house explosion obviously was something that had great interest, went out. I'm just wondering if there's any policies or agreements in place to coordinate with the local news media.
No, typically when media is looking for any footage, it comes in the form of a FOIA. So if it's what was released was not police or public safety video, that was from someone's personal public surveillance equipment per se, that was not public safety wise. Right. But no, there were no current agreements. Yeah.
All right, it looks like there are no more questions. Thank you very much for coming and sharing this with us tonight. We look forward to seeing the future of the program and how it evolves.
All right, thanks for having us. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Agenda item 5, FY25 budget priorities. So we thought we'd start the budget conversation tonight, just to prime the pump. The schedule for the budget that's on the website, the county website, indicates that the county manager's budget will be released in February, which of course means that we don't have it tonight, but distributed the letter that we sent last year, and I wanted to start the conversation tonight to talk about what we might and how we might update it for this coming year so that we can react quickly to the manager's budget when it comes out in February. We've also requested a briefing from the Department of Management and Finance on the budget for our February meeting. That's not quite confirmed yet, but we'll need to finalize what our recommendations are next meeting, because the board work sessions are in March and will likely happen before our March meeting. Jackie.
Sorry. My main question is actually technical ability to analyze as opposed to any particular budget priority. And that is, we have asked several years in a row that they identify technology funding across departments. Since we have a decentralized system, you would have to look up under every single department and sub-department to see whether they have contracts or personnel or whatever that are software or technology, people related. And we ask that this be coded so that we could look at overall what we're spending on different things. Have we gotten any answer to that? And I would think that's something we might want to pursue in advance of any particular views on the budget.
So that was one of our items from last year. I've got it pulled up. It was under the second section for recommendations for navigating budget constraints. Item 3, improve the transparency of information technology spending. So I think we'll get our answer, Jackie, when the budget is released in February, whether that recommendation has progress has been made on it, and we'll be able to assess it.
Couldn't we ask in advance? Because if it isn't done, they're not going to do it later. They're not going to say, oh, now we're reacting to your budget requests and gee, it's too late, they'll say. So yeah.
I honestly haven't reviewed the direction that the board gave to the manager for the budget, so I don't know if there's anything specific in there. So maybe you could take a look at that.
I don't remember anything that talked about technology coding. I did take the opportunity of the January 2nd CivFed joint meeting to lobby a couple of board members on that topic, and particularly new board members. I made the point of telling them that if they wanted to be able to analyze technology, that they should request this kind of tagging so that they could look at it overall. Because they might not even think of that question until they get the budget, and then they'll realize, oh, you can't find it.
Yeah, I'm in agreement. I think everyone else is probably in agreement that we'll likely make that recommendation again, even if progress has been made. Hopefully, I doubt that the budget will have been completely reworked by then to our total satisfaction. But we'll see. We'll see. Any other items? I kind of feel like the way I was thinking about this was we're likely going to have the same set of themes, and what we might want to do is provide focused recommendations on some of these themes in specifics. Secure the county's network systems and data. definitely going to recommend that again, right? Execute the cloud transition funded in the CIP.
See where they are on it too.
Yeah, see where we are on that. We might be able to update that based on the progress thus far. Continue the digital transformation of county operations and services. Create a government-wide privacy program. Those were our budget priorities last year. I mean, does anybody think that we shift that really?
The only way to tell whether it's worth shifting is to get the sort of numbers that Jackie is asking for and to get it in advance. Otherwise, we're sort of on a hamster wheel.
Well, yeah, I agree. Jackie?
Yes, I've encountered, I'll have more information at our next meeting, but I have been working on a project related to open government and the use of FOIA and where the line is between our open government information policy of what we make available to the public just because it's good government and accountability versus what we make people FOIA for that they are entitled to if they pay. And one of the things that I believe I've encountered from the amount of money that is being required for fulfilling FOIA requests when they're made that way, I mean, there's two things. One, there are things that are in FOIA that I think ought to be open government. But the second is, it's hard for me to believe that some of these single point of information questions that are take $75, to fulfill when it's operational data that people need to use in their everyday work. And so that makes me think either we're overcharging people or we have a really bad information system that has staff spending a huge amount of time trying to get data that's operational that they should have at their fingertips. So to me, this is perhaps an iceberg issue. That is that if it really takes $75 to provide the information, for example, that's being submitted, more detailed information being submitted in the EHO applications. They publish where it is, but not the more detailed information. However, you pay $75 and you can get the more detailed information. Why would it take $75 for them to identify the information in a permit that they're received and are reviewing? That's the way they do their charging. That's like, I think $75 is like an hour or something like that. So to me, it's like, that isn't what I was expecting to find, but this is one indicator we have. And because we don't have information coded the way we've been asking for, I'm looking for what indicators do we have about how efficient and sufficient our information systems are. And this is, to me, an indicator that it might not be as sufficient as it should be.
Yeah, or that the data should be more readily available.
Well, that's true. And everyone else is focusing more on what should be readily. I mean, I think open government, some of the, and if they were in the kind of database that I think they ought to be in, then, and if the barrier is that it takes a lot of time to collect this, if they were in the kind of database they ought to be in, it wouldn't take more staff time to post it up on the web. It seems to be indicating that departments are reluctant to post things on the web because it takes them too much time to do that. And so that's a concern. I mean, and it is department by department. So, for example, and I think I asked this question when we had the web briefing last time. I asked, who does the staffing for the dashboards, and who makes the decision about what's archived and what isn't? And aside from laws about what has to be retained, which is different from what's on the web, it's department by department. And so some have the expertise and some may have good data systems, and so they can do it fairly readily. So it may turn out that departments that don't have the staffing and the expertise have less open government because they don't have the capacity. So anyway, to me, that's a huge issue, and I'd like to figure out some way to get, to get better information on, what the quality is of the data information at the department level.
Yeah. Okay, I think there's definitely something there. Maybe let's think about how to craft that into a budget recommendation.
Yeah, it's just a thought, and I want help from the people who are more current with their, my database expertise is 20 years ago. So I want to know, someone suggested maybe what we should have is AI and just set AI in for, scraping this data and being able to make it public. Maybe that's a quicker way than improving our databases, is just have AI look at them all.
Yeah, I think if you have a manual, highly manual workflow to get the data, you get to an hour pretty quickly with all the handoffs and the reading and searching and the retrieval. So it's probably not the database's fault. It's probably the manual steps in the process that get you to an hour pretty quickly.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I guess it just seemed unreasonable to me, but those who are in current practice could have a better answer.
Okay. Any other ideas or thoughts about topic areas, even if we're still in the idea phase?
Question is whether we take any stab at AIM.
Yeah, I think AIM definitely, based on board member Karantonis's discussion this evening, needs to be addressed one way or the other.
Yeah, so maybe at least roll it partially into this.
I didn't want to ask while he was on, but does AIM apply for foundation grants or for corporate sponsorship?
They've been encouraged to do so in the past. This is not this has been an ongoing thing, but yes, they.
But they're still at square zero.
I mean,
I think they do have some. They also have memberships.
Yeah, I haven't looked at their 990 recently, but I think the question is, what does a healthy organization like AIM look like today from a funding standpoint, right? How much of it is coming from county government? How much is coming from PEG fees and the fees from the cable licenses? And how much of it is coming from program revenue, right? And how much is coming from grants and donations?
It's non-commercial, so it has to be.
Right.
It can't be outright advertisements. There's
That's why I
criteria,
said
grants,
grants,
grants and
corporate
donations.
donations.
So I think, and I don't know enough about it, but the first thing I would say is, what are the comparable organizations that are healthy? What do they look like?
No, that's right.
And I think when Ms. Canuto came and briefed us on it, that was kind of what I took away from her briefing, was that's what she was trying to move AIMS towards. So clearly we haven't gotten there. And I don't know why, so. But I think we definitely need to address it in the budget priorities letter, one way or the other.
Jackie,
Do we have, sorry.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Do we have examples from like Fairfax or other areas? Is this something where we have some comparables that we can look at?
I don't. I think what I'm going to do is request that as part of the follow-up to the discussion this evening. I know Richard has some professional expertise in this area, and given that he has been appointed to the board of AIM, now it's kind of his job. He can probably help us out.
Yeah.
So we'll see what we can gather by the next meeting to inform that conversation. But at the very least, we need to address the question. And maybe the answer is, we don't know enough to give you at this point, or we can give you general thoughts, but not anything specific. So we'll see what we can get to. Anything else?
I'm pretty sure one of those articles that you all shared showed the budget that like Fairfax, I think DC operates on. That it was a larger number, but I don't know if that's predicated on how many people they serve or what.
Yeah, they're 10 times our size. So.
Yeah, the PEG fees, that's probably good. That's based on a percentage of cable revenue, the cable franchise fees.
So does it, so yes, so that makes sense.
And Virginia's slightly different. They have a sort of unified telecommunications tax that goes to Richmond, then comes back to us based on, it's capped at 5%. And there's actually some action going on at FCC, which I'll talk about, that may have some impact on that as well, the amount of money.
Okay.
So something to look into. Everyone have a little bit of homework to do for the next meeting. Any other thoughts or ideas? I think we've made recommendations around secure county networks, right? Our recommendation, I think the letter we sent essentially said, implement the NIST risk management framework. So that could be a specific budget priority. Cloud transition, I don't think we've made any specific recommendations to, but we should probably get, a status update on that, what the impact of that transition is. I think for digital transformation, I think we should recommend a priority. I know there's only so many digital transformation projects that DTS can run at a time. I don't know how many it is, but I know it's not infinite. So we should probably think about the area that we would recommend as the highest priority for digital transformation.
Right, and I think a certain percent, I think it was 20% of the DTS budget was earmarked for the innovation projects.
Right. So think about what that might be from your all's perspective. And then privacy program, same. We haven't heard the start of a privacy program or the funding of a.
I think they're actually, program. I thought we heard some rumblings that they're actually getting, I think Richard told us they may be getting close to.
We've heard some rumblings, but I haven't seen anything official.
Nothing yet, nothing.
So I think that'll stay the same. Then, of course, we have our create a strategic plan for information technology. So we got that going for us, which is nice. All right, if there's no more on that topic, sorry, Jackie?
It's not budget, but when you mentioned the strategic plan, we are about to go through a major visioning process with Libby leading that, kicking off on February 5th. And we did do one in October at the Civic Federation. And one of the elements that we looked at is what data do you need to be able to look at, and what kind of analytics do you need to be able to do in order to do reasonable visioning and long-term planning. And I do think that the strategic planning as an example for digital planning, but also how that will inform our ability to do long-term planning and things like that it will come up in the visioning, and certainly where our wanting to be a smart city and the role of technology in our vision for Arlington's future is something we should make sure gets included in that discussion.
Yeah. Well, I think we're doing our best. We'll stay consistent.
I mean, like, maybe, did any of you get invited? It would be great if we had, a representative participating, and they may not be in that meeting on the 5th, but if the process doesn't come out in such a way as we have a representative, we should ask for one. That's really what I'm saying.
We will follow up to see how the invite list got set or will be set.
It's already, the invites are already out. So anyone who's been invited to the event on the 5th has already gotten their invitation. But there's going to be a whole more robust, that's only 200 people. There's going to be a whole robust process following that. And we're just going to want to keep our eyes on that after February 5th to see what the engagement process is and to make sure we have a role in it.
Absolutely. All right. We will move on to the legislative update from Frank.
All right. The Federal Communications Commission adopted a notice of proposed rulemaking proposing that cable and satellite systems provide rebates to consumers when programming has been blacked out in connection with retransmission negotiations. The Affordable Connectivity Program, ACP funding, is expected to last through April of 2024, running out completely in May, barring further congressional appropriations. Without the funding to continue, the ACP must cease new enrollments as of February 7th. By January 25th, broadband providers will need to send an initial notice to ACP subscribers advising of the possible end of ACP as detailed in an FCC order. The Bipartisan Affordable Connectivity Program Extension Act was introduced in Congress earlier this month, which, if enacted, would provide $7 billion to continue the ACP. Recent polling shows substantial bipartisan support for extending ACP by some 79% of voters surveyed. Local franchising authorities, LFA, met at the FCC to advocate the commencement of a rulemaking in response to a court remand permit LFAs to impose a franchise fee on broadband revenues. This is actually relates to a court case involving Montgomery County, Maryland. So that could have some impact on revenues for franchise fees. The 2023 broadband pricing index shows an 18% year-over-year price drop in the price of broadband providers' most popular speed tier, and a 6.5% drop for the fastest speed tier. The Kentucky State Legislature is considering a bill that would require the sale to a private entity of the city of Frankfort's municipal cable and broadband business. In 2021, the Frankfort Municipal Utility built a fiber-to-the-home broadband network. The bill is being opposed by the American Association for Public Broadband, AAPB. The city of Boulder, Colorado, announced that it is seeking proposals from potential service providers to construct and operate a broadband network to provide broadband service of 1 gigabit per second or more to all Boulder homes and businesses. The city is offering a long-term lease of city-owned dark fiber backbone infrastructure and separately enter into a right-of-way agreement in connection with the RFP. That's what I've got.
Thank you very much, Frank. DTS update. Normally, we would ask Norrin and Richard if they have any update for us. Katie, do you have any update for us?
No.
Okay.
Thank you very so much for standing in for this evening. Good of the order. Any items for the good of the order? All right, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I move that we adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. Good night. Thank you very much, and talk to you in February.
Thank you.
Good night.
Looking forward to being there.
February 28th, I believe it is. On